That made Stanley want to be a better man and
It did.
a better co-worker.
It
In
really
time,
did.
Perhaps he would become both of those things.
Probably not, but I've got the bucket, it doesn't matter anyways. Welcome back to the Stanley Parable. I think I know what I want to do first. Otherwise, I might have to refer back to some of the hints in the comments like I asked previously to figure out a direction for this particular video. So please bear with me while I try and figure out my life. As always. Hey! What the fuck, man? There's a fucking... I had the whole elevator bit that I usually do where I'm like dancing, you know, Stanley. You know, remember? What the fuck, man?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Let's die!
Although
Together.
This passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
He included the bucket this time, okay.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Until the bucket
At this
tells me
point,
to...
Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Until the bucket tells me to turn around, I'm gonna keep on going, okay? You already know the drill.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh, well, I guess. Ah!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Is it just gonna take me back to the museum? Oh.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
What about me? Have we forgotten that I'm a human being that exists? Welcome you. The bucket welcomes you to the exhibit. You are standing at the Where is the bucket? Oh my god. The bucket welcomes me to the museum? You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind frequently empty within a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness? Well, I can tell you what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna do.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
I do. I do see this. I absolutely do. Oh Are these actual... No, it's just a painting. Okay, I thought these were like tons of little buckets stuck to a... A photograph of 25... That's not 25 buckets, shut the fuck up. An autograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on a camera. That's not 25 buckets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That is like 2,500 buckets. It's like, I've actually got the ring on today. It's like that. It's that's really cool. A bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having... This game is so fucking silly, man. Having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Such a sad story. What is this? Oh, look at this. Inferno bucket, a replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of all of it, the simple fact remains: no one can control a bucket. This evidently is true. The stress bucket, an analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. Vulnerability, size and strength of the bucket. Coping strategies, holes, rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy. Alright, cool. Without commentary, okay. Well, that's what I'm here for. If there's no commentary, I shall provide... It's so stupid because you should find it this funny, but it is. Oh man, cave drawing. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, of course, which we do not know by how long, this cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged... You know what? It's funny. I'm never going to look at a bucket the same way again after this game. A bucket. It's just... Oh, man.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Of course. And that's all I will do. That's all I have done in this game is worship the bucket. That when an opportunity presents itself, one must grab it by the balls, as if your life depends on it. But first, we should do a bit of reading. The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary... I just went through all
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
What wrong is so terrible? Oh, this...
Let
okay, this one.
Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket.
Is this what it wants me to do? Is this why my camera's going blurry again? Is this it? It's still there.
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Very lucky indeed. Oh, by the way, happy Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day. No, it's actually the day after. Well, maybe it's 2 days after Valentine's Day. Stanley.
lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horror! But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here.
Logically.
So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending.
Already done it, mate.
This made no sense
I think.
at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Didn't even think I could do that, to be fair.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
There's definitely a key card that I need to get, or maybe that's just there. That's like a thing, and you can't actually get the key card. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, we're going this way. Danger everywhere. I don't care for danger. I am the danger. Can't you see, you silly boy?
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Well, that's a bit rude, mate.
How could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which,
What?
if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it.
No.
This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
Oh?
Please, step in here for a moment.
It's kind of dark. It's kind of fucking dark in there, you know what I mean? I'll go in because I got the bucket. I'll be fine.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okay. Right.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
He says I'm incredible.
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Oh, you silly goose. Come on. You got a game show to run.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something.
But a
and
bucket's
therefore
right there.
Nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
There's a bucket right there.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out.
I was wondering
I've
what he was
lost
going to
all
say to that.
sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
You better not.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Oh. Okay. There seems to be... narrator, there seems to be an issue here. I'm playing the game and that's all fine, but well, look at me, man. Okay, fuck it, whatever.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The memo that was missed is that you changed everything back, but I'm a bucket. Can you change? Son of a bitch. Oh my God. What the f-